Not after seeing men torn apart by the cull, a race of giant urgles, and the ground a bed of thrashing limbs, and the dirt so wet with blood it soaked through the soles of his boots. If any honour existed in war, he concluded, it was in fighting to protect others from harm. He bent and plucked a tooth, a molar, from the dirt. Bouncing it on his palm, he and Saphira slowly made a circuit through the trampled plain. They stopped at its edge when they noticed Jormungandr, Audjihad's second-in-command in the Varden, hurrying toward them from Trondheim. When he came near, Jormungandr bowed, a gesture Eragon knew he would never have made just days before. "I'm glad I found you in time, Eragon." He clutched a parchment note in one hand. "Audjihad is returning, and he wants you to be there when he arrives. The others are already waiting for him by Trondheim's west gate. We'll have to hurry to get there in time." Eragon nodded and headed toward the gate, keeping a hand on Saphira. Audjihad had been gone most of the 3 days, hunting down urgles who had managed to escape into the dwarf tunnels that honeycombed the stone beneath the Beor Mountains. The one time Eragon had seen him between expeditions, Audjihad was in a rage over discovering that his daughter Naswada had disobeyed his orders to leave with the other women and children before the battle. Instead, she had secretly fought among the Varden's archers. Murtagh and the twins had accompanied Audjihad. The twins because it was dangerous work and the Varden's leader needed the protection of their magical skills, and Murtagh because he was eager to continue proving that he bore the Varden no ill will. It surprised Eragon how much people's attitudes toward Murtagh had changed, considering that Murtagh's father was the dragon rider Morzan, who had betrayed the riders to Galbatorix. Even though Murtagh despised his father and was loyal to Eragon, the Varden had not trusted him. But now no one was willing to waste energy on a petty hate when so much work remained. Eragon missed talking with Murtagh, and looked forward to discussing all that had happened once he returned. As Eragon and Saphira rounded Trondheim, a small group became visible in the pool of lantern light before the timber gate. Among them were Auric, the dwarf shifting impatiently on his stout legs, and Arya. The white bandage around her upper arm gleamed in the darkness, reflecting a faint highlight onto the bottom of her hair. Eragon felt a strange thrill, as he always did when he saw the elf. She looked at him and Saphira, green eyes flashing, then continued watching for Audjihad. By breaking Isidar Mithrim, the great star sapphire that was 60 feet across and carved in the shape of a rose, Arya had allowed Eragon to kill Durza and so win the battle. Still, the dwarves were furious with her for destroying their most prized treasure. They refused to move the sapphire's remains, leaving them in a massive circle inside Trondheim's central chamber. Eragon had walked through the splintered wreckage and shared the dwarf's sorrow for all the lost beauty. He and Saphira stopped by Auric and looked out at the empty land that surrounded Trondheim, extending to Farthendur's base 5 miles away in each direction. "Where will Audjihad come from?" asked Eragon. Auric pointed at a cluster of lanterns staked around a large tunnel opening a couple of miles away. "He should be here soon." Eragon waited patiently with the others, answering comments directed at him, but preferring to speak with Saphira in the peace of his mind. The quiet that filled Farthendur suited him. Half an hour passed before motion flickered in the distant tunnel. A group of 10 men climbed out onto the ground, then turned and helped up as many dwarfs. One of the men, Eragon assumed it was Audjihad, raised a hand, and the warriors assembled behind him in 2 straight lines. At a signal, the formation marched proudly toward Trondheim. Before they went more than 5 yards, the tunnel behind them swarmed with a flurry of activity as more figures jumped out. Eragon squinted, unable to see clearly from so far away. "Those are urgles!" exclaimed Saphira, her body tensing like a drawn bowstring. Eragon did not question her. "Urgles!" he cried, and leaped onto Saphira, berating himself for leaving his sword Zarok in his room. No one had expected an attack now that the Urgle army had been driven away. His wound twinged as Saphira lifted her azure.